In the year 2000, while the gaming world was still obsessing over offline experiences and Nintendo was stubbornly clinging to cartridges, Sega did something that would seem absolutely mundane today, but was revolutionary at the time. They looked at their sleek white Dreamcast console and said, "What if every single person who owns this could connect to the internet and play games with anyone, anywhere in the world?" This wasn't just wishful thinking or a tech demo gathering dust in some corporate boardroom. Sega actually built it, launched it, and for a brief shining moment, gave gamers a glimpse into the future of interactive entertainment. They called it SegaNet, and it was essentially Xbox Live before Xbox Live existed, PlayStation Network before Sony knew they needed one, and online console gaming before anyone else thought it was commercially viable. The Dreamcast itself was already a technological marvel when it launched in 1999. Every single console came with a built-in 33.6K modem, making it the first mainstream gaming system designed from the ground up with internet connectivity in mind. This wasn't an afterthought or an expensive add-on that only hardcore enthusiasts would buy. Sega's engineers had literally built the future of gaming into every box that rolled off the production line. The console featured a custom Hitachi SH4 processor running at 200 MHz, which was absolutely screaming fast for its time, paired with a Power VR2 graphics chip that could push polygons like nobody's business. But the real magic was in that little modem slot. While Sony's PlayStation was still relying on memory cards and Nintendo's upcoming GameCube would ship without any network capabilities whatsoever, Sega was already living in 2010. When SegaNet officially launched on September 7, 2000, it wasn't just a network service. It was a complete reimagining of what console gaming could be. For $21.95 per month, subscribers got unlimited internet access, email, web browsing, and most importantly, online gaming. This was a full internet service provider bundled with gaming features, not just a gaming network with internet sprinkled on top. The service included a customized version of the Planet web browser, which was shockingly capable for a console-based web experience. Users could check their email, browse websites, participate in forums, and even engage in primitive social networking features. The web browser supported JavaScript, could handle most websites of the era, and even allowed for basic file downloads. For many American households in 2000, SegaNet represented their first high-speed internet experience, even though it was delivered through dial-up infrastructure. The game library that supported SegaNet was nothing short of impressive, especially considering this was uncharted territory for console gaming. Phantasy Star Online became the service's killer app, offering a fully realized, massively multiplayer online role-playing game experience that wouldn't be matched on consoles for years. Players could create characters, join parties with friends or strangers, explore vast dungeons, and engage in real-time combat with people from across the country. The game supported voice chat through a special microphone accessory, featured persistent character progression, and included regular content updates delivered through the network. Quake 3 Arena brought fast-paced first-person shooter action to console online gaming, complete with full mouse and keyboard support for players who wanted that PC-style precision. ChuChu Rocket offered frantic puzzle action for up to 4 players simultaneously, while NFL 2K1 delivered online sports gaming that felt just as responsive and competitive as local multiplayer. The technical infrastructure behind SegaNet was genuinely impressive, especially considering the internet landscape of 2000. Sega partnered with major telecommunications companies to ensure nationwide coverage and reliable connections. The service utilized a sophisticated matchmaking system that could pair players based on connection quality, skill level, and geographic proximity to minimize lag and ensure fair competition. Players could create persistent online identities, maintain friend lists, send messages to other users, and even schedule gaming sessions for future dates. The network featured dedicated servers for major titles, ensuring stable gameplay experiences that weren't dependent on peer-to-peer connections. SegaNet also included parental controls, allowing parents to restrict their children's internet access while still permitting online gaming, and featured a comprehensive user reporting system to combat cheating and harassment. But here's where Sega's timing became both their greatest strength and their ultimate downfall. The year 2000 was still the early days of widespread internet adoption in American homes. Broadband internet was available in some major metropolitan areas, but the vast majority of households were still using dial-up connections, if they had internet access at all. Many gamers were still skeptical about the value of online gaming on consoles, having been perfectly satisfied with local multiplayer experiences for decades. The concept of paying a monthly fee for gaming was completely foreign to console players, who were accustomed to buying a game once and owning it forever. Meanwhile, PC gamers, who were already comfortable with online gaming and monthly subscriptions, saw little reason to switch to a console-based service when they had more robust options available through their computers. Sega's marketing campaign for SegaNet was surprisingly aggressive and forward-thinking. They partnered with internet service providers to offer bundled packages, advertised heavily during primetime television shows, and even created demonstration kiosks in major retail stores where potential customers could experience online gaming firsthand. The company emphasized the social aspects of the service, positioning SegaNet as a way to connect with friends and meet new people through shared gaming experiences. Their advertisements featured real players talking about memorable online gaming moments, late-night Phantasy Star Online sessions that stretched until dawn, and the thrill of competing against strangers from across the country. Sega also offered promotional pricing, including free trial periods and reduced monthly fees for annual subscriptions, desperately trying to build a sustainable user base in an uncertain market. The numbers tell a story of both promise and tragedy. At its peak, SegaNet attracted approximately 100,000 subscribers, which sounds modest by today's standards but was actually quite impressive for the early days of console online gaming. The service maintained an average user session time of over 2 hours, indicating that people who did subscribe were genuinely engaged with the experience. Phantasy Star Online alone accounted for more than 60% of all SegaNet gaming traffic, with some players logging hundreds of hours exploring its online worlds. The service maintained a customer satisfaction rating of over 85% according to internal Sega surveys, and subscriber retention rates were actually quite healthy among users who stuck with the service beyond the first month. Unfortunately, the total addressable market was simply too small to sustain the enormous infrastructure costs associated with running a nationwide internet service. The broader context of Sega's financial situation makes SegaNet's story even more poignant. The Dreamcast was Sega's last desperate attempt to remain competitive in the console hardware business after a series of costly failures, including the Sega Saturn and the ill-conceived 32X add-on. The company was hemorrhaging money, facing intense competition from Sony's PlayStation 2, and struggling to convince major third-party developers to support their platform. SegaNet represented a massive additional investment in infrastructure, customer service, and ongoing operational costs at a time when Sega could least afford such expenses. The service required partnerships with telecommunications companies, dedicated server farms, customer support staff, and continuous technical development to keep pace with evolving internet standards. Even if SegaNet had been more successful, it's unclear whether Sega had the financial resources to sustain and expand the service over the long term. When Sega announced the discontinuation of SegaNet on July 20, 2003, it marked the end of one of gaming's most ambitious experiments. The shutdown wasn't sudden or unexpected. Sega had already exited the console hardware business in 2001, focusing their efforts on software development for competing platforms. Existing SegaNet subscribers were given several months' notice and assistance in transitioning to alternative internet service providers. The company worked with game developers to ensure that popular titles like Phantasy Star Online would continue to function through alternative network services, though the integrated experience that made SegaNet special was lost forever. Many subscribers reported feeling genuinely sad about losing their online gaming communities, which had become important social connections over the years. The legacy of SegaNet extends far beyond its brief operational period. Microsoft's Xbox Live, launched in 2002, borrowed heavily from Sega's pioneering work in console online gaming. The integrated friend lists, matchmaking systems, voice chat functionality, and subscription-based service model all traced their lineage back to SegaNet's innovations. Sony's PlayStation Network, Nintendo's online services, and virtually every modern gaming platform owe a debt to Sega's early experiments in connected gaming. The concept of downloadable content, which SegaNet supported through game updates and expansions, became a cornerstone of the modern gaming industry. Even the social aspects of gaming that we take for granted today, from achievement sharing to online communities, were first explored in depth through SegaNet's comprehensive platform. What makes SegaNet's story so fascinating isn't just what it accomplished, but what it represents about innovation, timing, and the brutal realities of the technology business. Sega correctly identified the future of gaming and built a technically competent, user-friendly service that delivered on its promises. They created genuine value for their subscribers and pioneered features that wouldn't become standard in the industry for years. Yet they failed commercially because they were too early, too expensive, and attached to a console platform that couldn't achieve the market penetration necessary to sustain such an ambitious online service. SegaNet stands as a perfect example of how being first doesn't guarantee success, and how the best technology can fail if the market isn't ready to embrace it. In an alternate timeline where Sega had deeper pockets, better third-party support, and perhaps launched 2 years later into a more internet-ready market, we might be talking about SegaNet as the foundation of modern online gaming instead of a footnote in gaming history.